Hello, loyal viewer, all one of you, and welcome back to the podcast.
Yeah.
This week on the podcast, we're talking about the second section of reading from The Knife of Never Letting Go, or if you're a movie person, Chaos Walking, featuring Tom Holland and that girl from Star Wars.
Daisy Ridley.
Daisy Ridley. That's it. So, where we last left off, I believe that our main character, good old Todd Hewitt, had just met a girl.
Yeah.
And he found her next to, like, a spaceship or something. I don't remember.
Oh, well, that you did. Okay.
He actually found her next to, like, this camp where the aliens used to be, before they killed all the aliens. And then he found her spaceship, because she led him there. And also her two dead parents. But anyways, much has occurred since we last left our two protagonists.
Alright.
We've learned, most importantly probably, that her name in fact is not Girl. It is Viola.
Viola.
Mhm.
Cool.
And she's like probably his age, which is like 13, 14 maybe. He's a young lass. But, I don't know if I said this last time, but what Todd Hewitt has found out is that girls don't have noise.
Yeah, I think you said that.
So, like, he found her because his world is so loud that he can just, like, listen and be like, oh, that's Mr. Jim and Jam, and he's thinking about sex. And that's...
Because of course he is.
Yeah. And that's
I don't
what all
know
these
Mr.
men
Jim
are.
and Jam.
His town is, like, so unbelievably depressed. It's awful.
Well, there's no women.
There's no women.
Everyone knows.
What is
women-
one supposed to do when women have gone?
Exactly. Think about boys? No.
So
How dare they?
they turn to a weird, toxic religious cult and a creepy mayor who lives in his house all the time. And also the town is named
I think
after
many
him.
people live in their house all the time.
I mean, like, no one ever sees him. He never comes out. And you can just hear people, like, creepily chanting in their noise from his house. Because, like, most people, it's just like a stream of consciousness. Theirs, it's like, a circle is round. There are no sides in a circle. A circle is round. There's no sides in a circle. Like, they're doing weird chanting so people
Checks
can't
out,
hear what
okay.
they're thinking about.
Okay.
Which isn't sketchy at all.
No.
So, they leave the town because Mr. Todd Hewitt, he finds Viola, and also I think the mayor tried to kill his dad's foster dads.
Yep.
Killian and Ben, those are their names.
Yep, Killian and Ben, I remember you told me.
And he leaves. He's got this little, like, he's got a diary that was his mom's, and a map to a town that he's been told he can go to, and he has to tell them something. Disclaimer, Todd can barely read because another genius play by Mr. Not At All Sketchy Mayor. All of the books and little informational videos they had to, like, you know, teach children, the mayor burned those.
Ah, nice.
Which is always the sign of a good leader who works for the people.
Of course. We know all great
Yep.
leaders have done that.
All great leaders
Have burned books.
restrict education.
Of course.
So Todd barely knows how to read, but he's got this book now, so we have that. So he runs away with Viola through the death swamp. They almost get eaten by crocodiles. Crazy preacher tries to kill them twice. Yada yada.
Normal.
Ooh, and they find out that they're getting chased by the mayor's son, who's like 16, and also like the sheriff, because favoritism.
Because nepotism.
Yeah.
The spoil system. I learned that from history.
And like a handful of other guys from town, and they're all on horses, which is like a big thing. And they're chasing Todd and Viola. So, and also Crazy Preacher, who like literally got eaten alive by crocodiles, and Todd almost stabbed in the stomach, but he didn't because he's a nice kid. Is still alive somehow because he's like the embodiment of death and will do nothing until he can kill these children.
As one does.
And they go, the children, they're running through the forest, they're on this path now, they're on a road. And Todd's like, why the hell is there a road here? I thought Prentice Town, which is the town that he's from, was the only town on New World, which is the world they're in. So why is there a road here? It must be to the other town on New World, the only other town. So, they're going on this road, and they get to a bridge. And it's over this big, like, chasm with a river at the bottom. And they're like, okay, well, those other guys are literally right behind us. So, let's go to the other side of the bridge, cut the ropes, and then they won't be able to use the bridge. And then Todd tries that, but the ropes are too thick and also covered in like wax, so he can't cut them. And then Viola, the smart, resourceful, I don't know, spaceship alien girl that she is. She's not an alien, she's a normal girl.
She's a woman.
She has like this little fire box in her bag where she puts like tinder in it, and I assume it's full of like gasoline, and then she pushes a button and it makes a fire. She basically dumps that all over the bridge and sets the whole thing ablaze. Because it's covered in like this flammable oil. So they kill like 2 people.
Great.
And
Solid.
the people who are chasing them go away.
Yep.
And then they find another woman, but an old woman. Like in her 60s.
Oh, that's not that
Crip,
old.
on the edge of death, this woman. In her 60s.
In her 60s.
So she's like, hello, children. She calls them pups, which I find very sweet. She's like a nice old country lady. It's a dog. Cute little dog alert. But she calls them pups. And she's like, hey, what are you guys doing here? And also she has a gun. That's probably important to mention. She's like, why'd you guys just burn down my bridge? And who are those people who are chasing you? And why are you children here? And they're like, well, reasons. But Todd is sitting there like, oh my Jesus Christ, there's a woman. And he's like going insane. And this lady, she's like, she does something very funny, which is like have a conversation with him without him ever speaking. Because like, you know, he's got his little noise going on. So he's like thinking thoughts and calling her like woman. And he's like, and the woman is like, hey, call me she or her. Or, oh God, what's her name? I don't remember her name.
Cool.
But she's really sweet. And she takes them back to her farm. And her husband, whose name is Tam. And Tam is also on the brink of death in his 60s. And it's also
life expectancy in this?
probably normal.
Okay. So on the brink of death.
Yeah. So Tam is really nice, but he has noise. And the whole thing, I hear Peter, the whole thing that Todd was working with this whole time is that the noise germ. Hey, Peter.
Hey, Peter.
Let's go.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
The whole thing that Todd's been working with this whole time is that the noise germ, which like killed half the men in his town and all the women, and also made everyone who's still alive be able to speak like without opening their mouths, like all their thoughts are like on full display.
Yeah.
He's like, well, Viola is probably still alive because she hasn't caught the noise germ yet. She just landed from the ship. But she's with me, so she's probably gonna die. And that was a big fiasco because he thought that Viola was literally right next to him. So she was like, what the hell, I'm gonna die? And he was like, no. So that was the thing. But then he sees this woman, and he's like, okay, must be another woman like Viola, I have to stay away from you. But then they get to his farm, and they find that she's got like an old husband, and he has the noise. So he's like, what the hell? Why aren't you dead? And she's like, oh, poor baby. Who wants lunch? Like, they just never tell him what's going on. And he's, like, going insane. Because he's like, you're all supposed to be dead. Why are there women here? I thought we were the only town. And then they're like, oh, yeah, technology where you have to, like, contact your ship. His whole thing, he has to tell the people on New World to not send another settlement, because that's where Viola was from. They're from a ton more people coming, try and be on the land. So they have to go and tell the ship, like, hey, don't come here. But they're talking, and then the lady, who seems like a Hattie, so I'm gonna call her Hattie, even though I don't think that's her name.
Okay.
So Hattie is like, you could probably find something to get your signal up to that ship in Haven. And they're like, what's Haven? And they're like, oh, it's the capital city of New World. It's like an actual city. And this kid is like, there's actual cities here? And the woman's like, you didn't think that you live in the only town on this entire planet, right? He's like, no. But he's thinking yes, so she's like smiling at him. And then other stuff happens.
Yeah.
Oh, the people from the town don't really like him because turns out that Prentice Town used to be called New Elizabeth. And apparently it's got like a super sad and dark history that no one's telling him. And also people try to kill him because of that. Yeah, so he almost dies.
That seems normal.
A couple times. Yeah, it is, Peter. And then the guys from Prentice Town come and try and like they're invading the village. And Todd's like, well, there are only like 6 people following me. There's more than 6 people in this town. They'll be fine. Thank you, Peter. And then he sees the army and he's like, this is literally every single person who lived in Prentice Town. I'm screwed. And so he decides to run away with Viola and go to the city themselves. And that's where we leave off. So, we'll see you next time, where we find out what they do on their journey and also what happened to that nice little town that took in Todd and Viola.
All right.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.